Hi, everyone. Welcome to Millennial Money Moves with Nadia. Today, I have Jason, and his channel is Echoes from Above. We're going to be talking about the overall state of the market right now with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, some mistakes that people can avoid right now with all of that, and just in general when you're investing in the market. I'm sure a lot of beginners out there are looking for some guidance right now. And he just recently started his channel, but I've seen a lot of success with it. And we talk a lot over Instagram, but I wanted to officially well, I guess we're still virtual, but meet and do a collab. So I'm gonna give the floor to him now if he wants to mention anything about his channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. Let me say that first. I really appreciate that. And yeah, my name is Echoes from Above. That's my YouTube channel. I do stock breakdowns. I teach a lot about long-term investing, and I even do a little bit of going after fake gurus on the side a little bit. So that's kind of what my channel was all about. And it's pretty much geared towards the goal of helping people build long-term wealth.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I feel like that's my goal too. And that's why I like the stuff that he posts. I feel like we think similarly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into it. So
Sure.
with the market right now, I feel like you have a better understanding of geopolitical events than I do. So I kind of wanted to bring you on to talk about that. I've gotten a general understanding of what, how Russia and Ukraine is affecting what's going on in the market right now. I had invested in oil and sold that. I wasn't investing in things that are volatile or risky right now because it just seems unsafe. But I wanted to know your thoughts on that and go a little more in depth.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I do have a background in politics, so I do understand a little bit of this, and it definitely helps me with the stocks and things like that. I think in times like these, you're going to want to stick with the winners. You can buy oil and things like that if you want, but I would more so trade them rather than treat them as a long-term investment. That's just my opinion, because commodities have this tendency to go up really high and then they drop like a rock. Go back to like 2008 and the last time oil skyrocketed and things like that, you'll kind of see what I'm saying. So it's fine if you want to trade it based on the news, but in terms of a long-term investment, I'm just not so sure because most people just don't understand the commodities market like that. In terms of the geopolitical events that are happening, they happen all the time. Obviously, this one is serious. It's huge, and my heart definitely goes out to all the Ukrainians. It's very unfortunate what's happening out there. But these events do happen all the time. And historically, they have always been buying opportunities in the market.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had fear, and that's exactly what you don't want to do. Just in general with the market, that's a big tip is don't sell off just because things are falling. If they're good companies and you have a lot of faith in them. Yeah, I should have clarified with oil. It's not in my long-term portfolio, but I did trade it because I think that was one of the ways that I saw to make money quicker in the way the market is right now, because I feel like we are in a bear market. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about what to do when that's happening. So what's been your strategy for the long term in the market with the way the market currently is?
Yeah, so for me, I've used this as a time to kind of pivot my portfolio a little bit. I've retooled it. And I think whenever you get these, because it's apparent now that we had a little bit of a bubble in 2021, and a lot of stocks have come down. They're still a little overvalued, but they've at least come down to a lot more reasonable valuations than they were before. So I've just kind of taken this time to just cut losses on some things. Some things I just bought too high. So I cut some losses and I've positioned them into better stocks with stronger balance sheets and good fundamentals. And that's kind of been my strategy during this bear market now that the market is kind of back to normal.
Yeah. For me, I started investing right when I started my channel. So it hasn't been that long for me, and I never want to come off as an expert. But I definitely spent a large amount of time researching and studying things and following people who give good advice. And I think that's fair, that we were in a bubble. So I think for me, it was kind of a shock because I was used to such like a bullish market. And I saw suddenly like, oh, this is great. Everything is going up so high. Like Tesla, I think went up from like, I don't know, maybe 600 when I bought it all the way up to 1,000 something. So, I got in, I feel like at a fun time. And so now it's kind of like, okay, this is reality, so just kind of readjusting. For me, I've been putting a lot in my Roth IRA as of late because that's something that I really need to build up because I was just kind of investing in individual stocks. I had some ETFs and mutual funds, but now I really, really want to start building on my like 10 plus year portfolio. So what are some stocks that you'd recommend for that?
Yeah, for me, I say stick to the winners. So obviously, inflation can impact Nike, but I still really like Nike. They just had a monster earnings report. The only risk they've got is China, in my opinion. I think North America, they'll be fine. So
Yeah.
Nike is one of my big winners that I like.
Mhm.
Disney, I like a lot. Some of these reopening plays,
Yeah.
when it starts to get warm everywhere, people are going to start to go out, and you're going to start to see some of these travel stocks like a Delta Airlines or something like an Expedia or a
Yeah.
Disney. I think you're going to start to see a really nice pump from those stocks. And then
Mhm.
obviously your usual suspects: Microsoft, Apple,
Yeah.
Costco, Google, things like that. I mean, I wouldn't buy them now, but whenever you get that pullback like we had maybe a few weeks ago, those are stocks that I would be looking to buy.
Right. Yeah. That's when I did a lot of buying, especially with Microsoft, Apple, and Google, especially after Google, around the time they did that split.
Yep.
That was nice. I had never seen a split that large, like with
Yeah.
Alphabet, but I was glad because I feel like it's funny because it doesn't affect the actual. I mean, yeah, it's cheaper to get a share, but whenever they do that stock split, I feel like a lot of people are more willing to invest in those companies. So
Yep.
that's always nice. Even though I
Yeah.
feel
And they
like,
know that too.
oh yeah, I feel like it's a big psychological thing,
Yeah.
more so than anything. But I mean, I was happy with it. Nike, that's an interesting one. I'm not invested in Nike. I don't know why I didn't really consider it. I should. So thanks for that one.
Yeah, the stock is cheaper than the shoes. I tell people this all the time.
Yeah, yeah, you do post about that. Like instead of buying Jordans, why don't you invest in Nike?
Yeah,
And yeah, I love their stuff, so I should be investing in it while I'm giving the money. Might as well get some back.
exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes in the market currently that people are making?
Investors.
Mhm.
Um, Not having patience. I guess the number one would probably be actually letting the media kind of scare you, like getting emotional and just
Mhm.
paying too much attention to the news. I think that's what a lot of investors are doing right now. I think they're just paying way too much attention to the news instead of just focusing on the long term and realizing that everything going on right now is short term. Even the Fed raising rates and inflation, these are all
Yeah.
short term. Inflation is going to go down. Eventually, Jerome Powell will stop raising rates. And I think that that's probably the biggest mistake that people are making. They are letting news driven events dictate their short term market actions that they do with their money.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of that, I feel like a really important thing is be careful where you're getting your information from. Like you said, I know you come for a lot of the fake gurus already, so I definitely recommend checking out his channel. Again, it's Echoes from Above. But yeah, that's definitely the case where a lot of people just kind of, oh, someone mentioned something, so they buy it, or the media scares them into selling off. But that's exactly what you do not want to do. Like you said, right now things are kind of going back up, but I think we're still in a volatile market. I think I'm still not making really risky plays, and that's just my preference. But what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Oh, media, pay attention to your sources. I already said that, but it's just so important because I see a lot of people losing money because of that, because someone mentioned something and they just think, oh, well, just buy because so-and-so said. Like, no, not even when I'm talking about stuff do I want people to just go and buy it without researching for their own, because I'm not a financial advisor. This is literally like what I do, and I want to share what I have learned. That was the whole reason behind my channel. And I think it was interesting when you brought up geopolitical events. And yeah, this isn't the only one. I feel like it's just one of the bigger ones. And sometimes people may not even notice. Like when we have the whole Evergrande crisis, you remember, well, not we, but China.
Yeah.
Around then
Yep.
was when I kind of started to pull out of my investments in Chinese companies. And so that's something that I haven't gotten back into. Maybe one day, but for now, I'm not invested in any Chinese companies.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I got out of most of mine too. I'm still invested in Baba.
Oh,
If
yeah.
there's any bet I'm going to make, it's Alibaba. But in terms of some of the other holdings I have, like Neo and things like that, I did get out too because I just
Yeah.
thought that it was too
Yeah,
too high.
I got out of Neo, and that's one that I always go back and forth with. Should I get back in? Where do I think? One of my friends texted me and asked me what I think long term about Neo, and I was like, I don't know, because I'm not in it, so I haven't been following it as closely, but I do still watch it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about, well, I mentioned it earlier to you, but let's talk about DraftKings, because that was another one I had talked about on my channel.
Okay.
I don't know if I said it on my channel, but I know I posted about it somewhere when I sold it and when I bought it, and it did really well. But what do you think would be a good price to get back in for those who want it long term?
Yeah, so for most who are familiar with me, they know that I absolutely love DraftKings. I'm
Mhm.
bullish on the company, but I also uh, accept that it is a risky investment right now.
Mhm.
I think $15, 15, 16, $17 is a fair price to buy it at, in my opinion. I don't see it dropping lower than that. Obviously, anything could happen, but I'd say put it on your watch list. And if it goes to that price, I have no issue pulling the trigger. Now, obviously, make sure you do your own research first and make sure you have your own thesis. And,
Mhm.
I have mine, and that's why I like the company.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I don't know if there's any other points you would like to cover. Anything you want to share, whether it's about um, tips for investors or your channel or what's happening in the market right now. Just any closing thoughts.
Yeah, sure thing. I think the best tip I could give is one, if you're going to follow other YouTubers, because we know in 2021 a lot of investors lost a lot of money following other YouTubers
Mhm.
because they watched other YouTubers and took their picks, but they didn't educate themselves. So there's nothing wrong with following other YouTubers. I follow other YouTubers. There's some YouTubers who have great content, but I think it's important to make sure you teach yourself how to fish as well. So
Right.
you use them to get an idea and listen to their thesis, and then you go and do your own research and form your own. That's one thing that I would for sure do. And then the other thing I will say is many investors, retail investors, did not hold a stock for the entire year. If you look at most people and they go back and look at their portfolio history, how many stocks in their portfolio have they actually held for an entire year? Most people just keep doing this back and forth, buying and selling and buying and selling. When you're investing in the stock market, it really is a long-term game. I mean,
Yeah.
look at me. There are some stocks that I've been holding since 2017, and they
Yeah.
have just absolutely gone to the moon. And
Mhm.
2017, 2018 was a bear market. It was horrible. It was
Mhm.
rough. And it was really hard to hold those stocks back then. But if you just look at the future now and how they're looking, I think a similar situation will play out for people who really hold their stocks long term.
Yeah. I think that's great advice because like I said, and like what we were talking about in 2021, there was that bubble. And so a lot of, the way investing was when I started kind of 2020, 2021 was looking very different than how it is now. And I think now is more of a reality check for a lot of people if they're beginners of what it's really like and that true test of holding on to stocks for a long time. So now that's really what I'm doing. I was doing that with some before. There were definitely some I didn't all sell off, but I was doing a lot more swing trading last year than I am now,
Mhm.
with the way the market is. So definitely be careful. I feel like it's hard for beginners to kind of know when it is smart to be swing trading, when it's better to be long-term investing.
Right.
And I think right now is definitely a time where you want to be investing for the long term. We're talking like years, not just like a few months. So those are
Yeah.
my thoughts. Again, check out his channel. I am a big fan of it. I really like his videos. They're very informative. And I think they break things down in a way that's detailed, but still easy to follow. So thank you for coming on with me.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right. Bye, guys.